and kept enabling me when she didn't raise concerns over mistakes I was making, telling me everything was all right, telling me she was still in love with me. How much of that was a lie, I wonder? For 4 years, I gave this woman my heart. I chased after her, and we had the fairy tale wedding and courtship. All of that was a lie. I told her I don't feel comfortable with her in the house, especially when she made a comment last night asking if she could trust me. She stated she could stay at a friend's place for the time being. She packed her things and left quickly. She said she regretted that things went this far, but I don't want to hear it. She has no idea how much she has scarred me. She has no idea how much the images of the things she has done in our bed for this other guy have haunted me, how much she has hurt me. If she was truly unhappy, she should have just told me and left like an adult, not played me around as if things could potentially work out. She said it best. She has acted like an immature girl when I deserve a mature woman. I wish her the best. She has deep issues that need to be resolved so she can be happy again with herself. She is terrified of how she will break the news to her parents about what she did to me. I'm sure, though, she will bend the truth and lie to some extent about what happened. But I don't care what her family or friends think. I deleted my social media and blocked numbers, so those jackasses will never contact me if they think this is all somehow my fault. I will not hear any of it. I am done. I'm checked out completely. We don't have any major assets, and she already has her own separate bank account. This process of separation will be very easy. I have spoken to my father, who has gone through this before, and he is walking me through it, so I'm in good hands and have a great support group. I cried one final time last night, not for losing her, but for the immense feeling of shame that was hovering over my head this year to finally be gone. It still comes in waves, but it gets easier when I remember the things she did, how she was wayward, how she folded at the first test of our relationship. I recorded our final conversation for my own protection. She stated clearly in the video that this was on her, and this was mostly her fault that this thing failed. Before anyone asks, it was legal for me to do this. I checked the laws of my state. I told her that these past 4 years have been the best times of my life with her, but our time has passed. This next week, I'll be clearing up the room and putting her things in boxes, looking forward to having more space. I'm not looking for advice from you guys, really just wanted to update on what happened. Slowly but surely, I'm getting better already and will continue to improve myself for the woman that truly deserves and desires me. Some tips on how to move forward would be great. Honestly, though, I'm feeling kind of proud of how I handled things. I never lashed out or got overly emotional. Thank you. Reaction? I think her saying she wasn't ready for marriage is just a way of her saying she wasn't ready to deal with whatever issues she has. She's projecting those issues into the marriage. You're not the problem here. She went into the marriage unhealed and with too much baggage that ended up self-imploding. Update, I just don't get the why. I don't get why she would do what she did. She had a safe house, a loving husband changing for the better, an in-law family that loved her, and a mother-in-law that she felt she could be more honest with than her own, and she threw it all away like that. 2 years of marriage, and she just imploded it without trying to at least reconcile. It's just insane to me. She now has to live on her own, doesn't have the support of my family anymore, and doesn't have the security of a loving husband who would have died for her. And she's still telling people it was a mutual decision, as if I didn't cry my eyes out to her, asking her not to throw it all away. I just don't understand how a woman could be so heartless when it was only 2 weeks ago when she said she loved me with her whole heart. She'll never know how much she has actually hurt another human being with her actions to just abandon someone so easily. I'm having a rough night at the moment. Comments. We've got a quick opinion from Flared Bag. I'm terribly sorry that this is happening to you. Some things are sometimes not meant to be. This is the time to focus on yourself and to look after yourself. That is your first priority. Whether she keeps on this path or realizes that she made a mistake is not your concern anymore. You're going through a very traumatic experience and should look after the number one person in your life, and that is you. Good luck, and may you heal quickly from this. Last summer, I was at a cousin's wedding. His bride and her family had been close with ours since before I was born, and the couple had known each other since they were toddlers. So it was a particularly exciting event for both sides of the family. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had only just started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaid, who I'll call Sarah, and her equally smug fiancé. My cousin's wife, whom I'll call Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but she kept grinning and acted very happy for the other couple. This was unusual, as Emma is typically quite confrontational and speaks her mind no matter the consequences. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. I wasn't there for it, but my cousin sent me some of the best bits on Snapchat and explained the whole situation. This is where the fun begins. Emma's two much younger sisters were the flower girls at Sarah's wedding. At the very last moment, Emma switched out the white petals in their baskets to blue ones she had secretly brought with her. She told her sisters not to say anything about it or let the bride see them until it was time to scatter them down the aisle. Sarah looked very confused upon seeing the blue petals, which didn't coordinate whatsoever with her theme. But of course, she didn't say anything about it at the moment. Most of Sarah's other bridesmaids, who were also Emma's friends and had attended Emma's wedding, were in on Emma's scheme. At the reception, Emma's sisters and the other bridesmaids were tight-lipped when Sarah began demanding to know why there were blue petals. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse for not checking the flower girls' baskets before they walked down the aisle. Finally, it was time for the speeches. The speeches took place in front of a massive screen displaying a loop of photos with Sarah and her husband, which had been compiled by Emma. Emma took the remote to control the presentation screen. At first, she showed some pre-approved humorous photos of Sarah with Emma and other friends to facilitate a couple of light-hearted jokes. Then, at the very end, Emma said to Sarah that she must be wondering why there were some blue petals instead of the white ones originally planned. That was when Emma displayed the last slide of her presentation. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant and that she had just discovered the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals. The last slide was her ultrasound picture. There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly that I sincerely regret watching the Snapchat recordings with headphones. Apparently, Sarah had been very nasty to her bridesmaids before, driving several of them away and forcing the others to pay ridiculous amounts of money for dresses. Emma and my cousin were eventually thrown out of the party, but they were all smiles. Sarah's fuming mother went to confront her outside, and Emma retorted with, "Gentle, gentle, I'm pregnant." I reckon Sarah doesn't speak to the majority of those bridesmaids anymore. I love that you were able to plan and execute this perfectly. It was definitely well-deserved revenge. Never steal the spotlight at a wedding. That's only supposed to be about the couple getting married. They spent a lot of money for the big day, and her doing this definitely derailed the moment, ruined the memories, and turned everyone against her. Although it should have been easy enough to simply kick them out immediately and carry on with the party, this was definitely a more entertaining outcome. I'm glad it worked so well in the end.